What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about none other than my favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, and their future as a team. Because honestly, this is the first time in my time as a Packers fan when I've been worried about the future, concerned about the future, when I've been questioning the future. Because every single year, it seems like as a Packers fan, I've been able to be like, oh, well, it's Aaron Rodgers. Oh, well, we have Devontae Adams or Jordy Nelson. We have wide receiver one. At this point, we don't really have that. And honestly, the future does not look too bright for the Packers. Okay, the NFC North has improved a ton. I mean, the Vikings are obviously 10-3. They're going to be a huge, serious playoff threat this year. The Lions are making a late push. The Bears are having a good start to their rebuild. And then there's the Packers. Mid, but also mid with no future. Okay, sure, you can have the Lions, who right now are mid, but the Lions' future is a lot better than the Packers. So, talking about the Packers' future, what they should do at certain positions, what they should do with certain players, and yeah, let's get right into it. Starting off with the quarterback position because it's the most controversial position out of any of them. Rumors came out earlier this week that Jordan Love could potentially request a trade if Aaron Rodgers decides to return next year. Okay, this is worst case scenario. This is like the absolute worst case scenario. Quarterback is Aaron Rodgers deciding to return. That's fine. Okay, that's not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is him returning and Jordan Love requesting a trade because Jordan Love is the future of this franchise at the quarterback position at the moment. Okay, and we will never be bad enough with Aaron Rodgers at the helm for us to draft a new guy. Okay. It won't happen unless we get one of those late first round or second or third round guys who just end up being a fantastic quarterback, which doesn't happen too often, right? Rodgers is going to be our quarterback for longer than I want him to be because we won't be able to draft a guy because we won't be bad enough to draft a guy as long as Rodgers is under center. I guarantee you that. Okay, we could have some bad years with Rodgers under center. Okay, and this is one of them. But we're never going to be worse than teams who are actively trying to lose football games to get the next big guy, to get the Caleb Williams, or the Bryce Young, or the CJ Stroud, or whatever the Texans or whoever the Texans are going to draft. Okay. Jordan Love requesting a trade would be awful. Okay. And so if he requests a trade and he gets traded, then it's Rodgers and who? I don't know. And then Rodgers is gone after his contract. He's either going to retire or sign with a new team, or Rodgers gets traded in the offseason. Okay. Because exploring another option at the quarterback position is moving Aaron Rodgers so that we avoid Jordan Love's possibility of requesting a trade. Okay. I think Jordan Love believes that he can be a starter somewhere. And if it's not Green Bay, he wants to go somewhere else. And honestly, it's valid. If he believes right now, coming into his third year, this is his actually third or fourth year, I forget which one, coming into this year, if he believes he can be a starter somewhere, okay, and he sees no end in sight for the Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay, why would he waste his good years? Why would he waste his time if he knows he's good enough to start? And honestly, what I've seen out of Jordan Love, I think that there's a chance he's a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, it's a very small sample size, and I'm not going to jump the gun on him like some people have and call him a top 5 arm talent or whatever. But I think there's a chance Jordan Love could be started in the league, and I want it to be for the Packers because Rodgers isn't going to be around forever. Okay? So exploring the Aaron Rodgers trade options, the first one that really comes to mind is the New York Jets. Okay, I made an entire video. Go check it out. It's on this channel. I made an entire video about the Jets quarterback situation. They're in trouble. They have Zach Wilson. They have Mike White. What do they do next year? Okay, the free agent market isn't great, but the trade market is decent. Obviously, you can go out and trade for pretty much any quarterback, unless it's like Kyler Murray, who just got paid a ton of money, and Cardinals wouldn't move off of him because of the dead cap, and you don't want to take on that contract. But Rodgers is the same kind of deal where his contract isn't great. But the Jets are in a position where if they were to have an elite quarterback, a top 5 quarterback, which I still believe Rodgers is, if I were to get an elite quarterback, if the Jets were to get an elite quarterback, they're contenders. I mean, right now, the only thing holding them back is the fact that they don't have a solid, reliable starter. If they would have a top 5 quarterback, this team would be maybe even leading their division with the way the Bills are playing some of these games, and they maybe win that game against the Bills yesterday and sweep them if they had Aaron Rodgers. They're a true quarterback away because that defense is so good. Garrett Wilson's looking like he's going to be one of the next superstar wide receivers. Okay, even Elijah Moore's looked good. Okay, their offensive line's been good. They have a killer running back room once Breece Hall's back. And you have to wonder to yourself, what would this be like if they had Aaron Rodgers? And honestly, the Jets might be wondering that to themselves too. I mean, it's not impossible that the Jets making a trade for Rodgers. And if that was the case, then we'd probably get a good return. We'd probably get first round picks. So then if Jordan Love starts and sucks and we suck, we have the Jets picks. We have our own picks. And all of a sudden we're in a good position to draft a guy or at least draft help for Jordan Love. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm also not saying it's impossible. Trading Aaron Rodgers, as much as it might hurt us cap wise, might be the best move for this team because I don't want Jordan Love gone. I think if we can see Jordan Love next year, we should. I think we should see Jordan Love for the rest of this year if we lose. Like if we lose next week, if we lose on Christmas to the Dolphins, I think we need to see Jordan Love because that's the end of the season right there. With the way the Lions are playing, with the way the teams ahead of us are playing, that's the end of the season right there if we lose to the Dolphins next week. I mean, why not start Jordan Love? I know Aaron Rodgers is the kind of guy who doesn't want to sit on the bench. He's the kind of guy who doesn't want to be like, I'm just going to sit behind a third-year guy. But that's the best move for the team, and that's what they should do. We've talked a lot about the quarterback. Let's move on to some other positions. Obviously, the offseason narrative about the Packers was that they didn't have a good wide receiver, and I still believe that they do not have a good true wide receiver one yet. But I have loved what I've seen out of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, okay? I know that all the Packers fans and all the NFL fans wanted to clown us for not drafting one in the first round. And the picks that we did use in the first round, the players that we did pick in the first round, starting to look like they're not going to work out as well as we would have hoped. But we ended up getting Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs in the later rounds, two guys who have really impressed me in their time on the field. I mean, Christian Watson has like 7 or 8 receiving touchdowns in a matter of 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, he's got great rushing ability when you give him the ball in open space. He's fast. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. I like him a lot. Okay, he's gotten a lot better at some of the things he struggled with early in the year. It's exactly what you want to see out of him. Is this kind of early development to get past that those kind of things that were holding him back still. So the wide receiver position isn't looking awful. I mean, it's those two guys, and then who though? I mean, Allen Lazard was supposed to be a wide receiver one. He's been underwhelming. He hasn't been on the field much. Randall Cobb is still there. Sammy Watkins has been awful. I mean, we still need a true wide receiver one, and I believe that at some point in their careers, one of Watson or Doubs will develop into that. But I think we need one now, right? I think the offseason we need to seriously explore getting a good receiving option, and I think we seriously need to explore just getting some depth at that position because Sammy Watkins is not good depth. Randall Cobb's getting old. Okay, it can't just be Watson, Doubs, and nobody, and Lazard maybe. The defense has been really, really underwhelming this year, and I think part of it is that we kind of jumped the gun on calling them one of the best defenses in the NFL because on paper they do look like that, but talent-wise, I just don't think they're there. Um, the cornerback room outside of Jair is pretty bad. There are some guys who have impressed me, like Keyshawn Nixon, who's one of the best kick returners I've seen play for Green Bay in a while, and he's been good in his limited sample size. But the secondary outside Jair, I don't really trust anybody. Adrian Amos is kind of looking like he's washed, and the secondary just hasn't been great as a whole. The linebackers, I mean, Devondre Campbell hasn't been on the field much, and when he has, he's been kind of underwhelming. Quay Walker, this guy that we drafted with our first pick in the draft, hasn't really done much. Devontae Wyatt doesn't see the field. The defensive line hasn't been great. The defense has certainly been underperforming. Excuse me. Certainly underperforming, certainly underwhelming, but also you have to remember who was coaching them. Okay. I think I think it's very, 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 very unlikely that Joe Barry keeps his job after the season. I honestly have had points this season where I've called for his firing after a game. I mean, he seriously is one of the worst defensive coordinators I've seen run the Packers in a while. We've had some pretty bad ones. I think that Jair is good. He's our best corner. He's our best member of our secondary. He's probably even our best defensive player at this point. But he has had his moments this year where you just look at him and you wonder what is going on. What is going on? So in the future, I think we just need to make some good defensive signings, and we also need to just hire a guy like Vic Fangio or Mike Zimmer, some guy who's proven to be good defensively. Okay, we need a proven defensive mind, somebody who can take over our defense and whip them into shape. Okay, because I think that this defense on paper is still very, very talented, and so has a lot of potential. They just need somebody who can be there and who can unlock it. Okay. I think Vic Fangio, Mike Zimmer, or any defensive-minded guy is really the option for the Packers for the next DC. I mean, a guy who's head coached a team would be great because they know their way around coaching a team. They know their way around coaching something outside of the defense, as well as they know how to coach a defense as just as well as they do anything else, right? Because if you have a guy who knows offensive schemes and a guy who knows teams' offensive schemes like Zimmer or Fangio, they can help you in that way where they know how to coach a defense, but they also know what the other team is going to run. They also know what kind of scheme the offensive team, the other team's going to run on the opposite side of the field. So I think one of those guys would be great. Also, just building up some depth and some talent in the secondary. The offensive line. I mean, if we lose Elton Jenkins, it's going to be atrocious next year. I mean, we really just have not had that good of a year at offensive line, so I think definitely drafting some guys. I think honestly, depending on where we end up picking, if all the big names are off the board, I think going one of the better guards or centers or tackles or any offensive line position, I think we just take best offensive line position available depending on where we end up picking. And so, yeah, that would be what I would do for the future of the Green Bay Packers. Kind of recapping, probably would look into moving Aaron Rodgers if we get a package good enough. I'd say we would take it, but I also get the fact that we probably should keep him for the rest of his deal. And if Jordan Love requests a trade, I'm going to be very upset, but I think he honestly thinks he can be a starter in this league. And if he thinks that, he should go somewhere else where he actually is given the opportunity to start. So, yeah, that's what I think the Packers should do in the future. Either way, I think we're cooked. This division's getting better, and we are not. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to everything you can to help grow this channel. We will see you next time.